Hi, I'm Joel Willitts, and I'm a professor in the New Testament. I live with my family in the Chicagoland area. I have a wife. Her name's Carla, and we've been married, over 20 years now, which is hard to believe. And I have two children, Zion and Mary. They're twins, and they're great kids. I love them very much. We have a great time. Being a father is the greatest thing in the world, one of the more challenging things in the world as well. But it's a joy. I really love my life because I get to teach the Bible, and it's something I'm very passionate about doing. It's one of those things, what a gift to be able to do what you love to do. And this is really an important course that we're going to do this time called Jewish History and Jewish Literature of the Second Temple period. That title doesn't necessarily capture what I think is the significance of this course, because it really does relate to why it is I do what I do. If you ask me what motivated you to get into the study of the New Testament in the first place, I would say it had to do with this idea that reading the New Testament is best done by understanding its historical and cultural context. And I grew up in an evangelical sort of fundamentalist kind of church. And for me, as I sort of grew up, I discovered that while I had faith and I knew the faith well, I was well discipled as a child, I really didn't understand how the story of Jesus and the apostles' teaching that came to be our New Testament, how it was situated in actually a real story. And as I was sort of progressing in my studies, and I went to college to be a youth pastor, and I thought, the greatest thing in the world for me at that time was this idea to be just a high school pastor for the rest of my life. But what happened is as I was going to school and studying the Bible, I was beginning to become aware of the context of the New Testament. And that's really what this course is about. Through this course, what we want to be able to do is situate the teaching of Jesus, the apostles' teaching about the significance of Jesus' life and death and resurrection in its first century Jewish world. One of my favorite quotes that I want to share with you that I've heard about the study of the Bible comes from a very significant New Testament scholar of a previous generation, a guy named C.H. Dodd, who was a professor in Oxford and then in Cambridge. And when he took the professorship in Cambridge, he gave an inaugural lecture, the title of which is The Present Task in New Testament Studies. And when he gave that lecture, he ended by describing for his audience what he thought the ideal interpreter of the New Testament was. And his description of the ideal interpreter, I think, captures exactly the purpose for this course. He says this: the ideal interpreter would be one who has entered into the strange first century world, has felt its whole strangeness, has sojourned into it so that they have lived themselves into it, thinking and feeling as one of those to whom the gospel first came, and then who will return to their own world. Get that point that Dodd's making. He's not saying that they stay in that sort of ancient world, but rather that they go there. They discover the world there, but then they come back. It's like from here to there and back again. And he finishes it by saying that then they come back to their world and give the truth that they discerned in that ancient context a new body of the stuff of their own thought. So what Dodd is suggesting is not that we sort of go back to try to recover some pristine period of church history, but rather that we develop an imagination that allows us to live into the text so that we can come back into our own 21st century world and live it afresh. So what I hope that this course will do is foster the kind of imagination Dodd described. That we, of course, will never fully reach the goal of being the ideal interpreter. That's a target that we'll never reach. But as Dodd concludes, he says that every serious student must wrestle with becoming this kind of interpreter. This is where, he says, the task of New Testament study lies. And I just can't agree with that more. So our goal in this course is to survey some of the key historical moments and some of the literature of the Second Temple period. It's sort of going to be a 30,000 feet flyover, just noting some key events and sampling some representative literature. For all intents and purposes, it's an orientation course, because what I'm hoping will happen at the end is that you will feel a little bit more at ease, dipping into the literature and into the sources of material that can uncover the kind of imagination that Dodd described. So, thanks for joining me on this journey, and I'm really excited that we're going to spend this time together studying the period of time between, from a Christian perspective, the end of the Old Testament and the beginning of the New as an environment to understand the teaching of Jesus and the teaching of the early church.